years.
Well, that's a preview of the next 10 years.
Come on!
If you have internet, you've surely seen the trailer for Inside Out. And what we all expected has happened. Riley's new emotions and old emotions are going to clash. But was all of this premeditated? Is there really a chance that Envious is controlling anxiety and behind it all? We've researched everything about this shocking information that might be in the plot of Inside Out 2, and we're gonna tell you what we've discovered right now. To find out everything about it, you know the drill, just stick with us for the next few minutes. After all, who controls Riley's mind? This might seem like a silly question, but it's actually the crux of all the issues surrounding the Inside Out movie. It's precisely because they vie for space in Riley's memories that joy and sadness end up lost in the farthest corners of Riley's mind. And as a result, the girl would end up running away from home to a very uncertain future. We all know that joy was the first emotion to appear in Riley's mind, and sadness came right after, so they're almost like sisters.
Oh, hello. I'm Joy. So, can I just, if you could, I just want to fix that. Thanks.
But Joy has always felt entitled to give directions to all the other emotions, and in a way, she's still their leader, since in the trailer for the second movie, it's clear that at the slightest sign of danger, all the others fall behind her. The problem is, with the emergence of new emotions, Joy's leadership may be increasingly questioned, just as we see Anxiety doing when she says that Riley needs much more sophisticated emotions than the 5 that exist.
Riley's life requires more sophisticated emotions than all of you. You can't just bottle us up!
This makes it clear that Anxiety is the leader of this new group of emotions. At least, that's what it seems, and what she herself must think. But there are strong indications that all of this may be part of a much larger plan created by someone who is above, or rather beneath, suspicion. We're talking about the seemingly sweet, cute, and tiny Envious. But before that, let's talk a bit about the most obvious new emotion: Anxiety as the villain. It's obvious that Anxiety is the apparent leader of Riley's new emotions since she's the first one to appear, and the others come right after, all introduced by Anxiety, proving that she's at least their representative. An interesting point is that unlike joy and sadness, everything indicates that the 4 new emotions didn't emerge at that exact moment. After all, Anxiety knew each of them and knew their names and functions, something that Joy took years to understand about the other emotions, as by the end of the first movie, she had no idea what sadness was for. This indicates that the new emotions may not be so new after all. They must have already existed, they just didn't have permission to enter Riley's mind control room. And that makes me wonder how anxious Anxiety must have been. After all, that's her nature. So she might have imagined that when they had the chance to take control of Riley's mind, they would never leave. And of course, the best way to do that is by being in charge of everything, which is exactly what she does. Because she can even boss around those little characters who work in Riley's mind and support all the tasks that need to be done in there. All of this demonstrates that Anxiety is indeed very influential. And Envious knows it very well, I'm sure. And you? Which of these 2 emotions do you think will be the main villain in Inside Out 2? If it's the little green one, comment #Envious. If it's our disheveled orange one, comment #Anxiety. Envious is behind it all. As we saw in the trailer, Anxiety says that her specialty is the future. So she's concerned with preparing so that nothing bad happens to Riley, at least according to what she imagines. Now, Envious, we can say, is that emotion that awakens within each of us that little bit of selfishness everyone has. When we want to have something that belongs to someone else, we're being envious. And basically, that's going to be Envious's role. With that in mind, let me ask you, what's inside Riley's mind that the old emotions have that she might want more? If you thought control of everything, you're absolutely right. Due to its envious nature, it's completely natural that the little bluish-green emotion has the inner desire to have everything the other emotions have, their functions and their spaces. For Envious, nothing is ever enough. She always wants more. For this reason, she would have every reason to devise a plan where she could take control of everything. And this becomes even clearer when she sees that Joy and Anxiety have started to vie for control of Riley's mind. And being so tiny, she would see this moment as an opportunity to, with Anxiety's help, who is the one embarrassment obeys, get them out of the control room once and for all. This would all be Envious's plan to demonstrate that the old emotions are no longer enough. With the arrival of the new emotions, it's very likely that at some point, especially when Riley needs help, even the emotions from the first movie will wonder, why are new emotions arriving? But surely, this questioning will be fueled by Anxiety and Envious so that the old emotions end up letting their guard down, and thus, embarrassment manages to grab them and store them inside that glass jar in the midst of darkness. What few people realize and notice is that in fact, it's all the result of Riley's own thoughts. As she matures and needs to enter high school, she'll eventually come to the conclusion that joy, fear, and anger no longer have a place in her life, not to mention sadness and disgust. That's why the emotions themselves say they're being suppressed, because in the end, that's exactly what Riley is doing, hiding her true feelings to be able to show something she isn't really. And the reason for all of this? It could very well be the envy she feels towards other people, wanting to have a life like theirs and be part of the circle they're in. This becomes very clear when Envious becomes really happy when the popular girl at school invites Riley to sit with her. In this situation, if it were really something that generated genuine and sincere happiness, shouldn't it be Joy who shows that happiness? But who's really happy is Envious, which means only one thing: her plan to have the life she desires is finally working. This is further evidence that really, in the end, everything we might be seeing in the movie is the result of Envious's actions with the support of Anxiety, who believes she may be doing good for Riley. But in fact, she's just making her suppress her initial emotions instead of using them when necessary. But from the trailer, apparently something along the way will end up not going very well between the two villains. Emotional conflict. First of all, the truth is that Anxiety will start the movie as a villain, but I don't believe that, at least in her mind, she's doing any of those things maliciously. She believes that she's the one responsible for making Riley successful from that moment on. That's exactly why she locks up the first 5 emotions, probably with the help of Envious, in addition to embarrassment. At a certain point, we can notice that even Anxiety herself starts to think that everything she's doing might not be quite right. In that same scene where Envious says that the popular girl is inviting Riley to join her group, if you pay attention, you'll notice that Anxiety is right behind, and her expression isn't happy at all. This might be the moment when she realizes that in fact, everything she did, even with good intentions to preserve Riley's future, actually had only one goal: to make Riley popular. At least, that's probably Envious's main goal throughout the whole movie, and Anxiety will feel bad for doing everything she did, like locking up the other emotions and even making Riley abandon her old friends just to be a more popular person at school. Probably, this is the moment when the penny drops, and she may realize that she was actually manipulated all this time by the tiny, cute, but not innocent Envious. And who knows, she might even go after the first 5 emotions to help them return to the control center. That would definitely be a very cool moment of redemption for Anxiety, as she'll realize that they're all important, exactly because they are different emotions. The truth is, Anxiety itself isn't so bad, especially when it's controlled and part of our group of emotions. But if it takes control, the mind can lose balance. Actually, this goes for any of the emotions, like embarrassment, fear, anger, and sadness too. However, when it comes to Envious, she's definitely the kind of emotion that exists to protect or help someone. In fact, she's something that needs to be even more controlled than any of the other emotions. That's why our guess is that Anxiety will indeed be manipulated by Envious, and will end up making a lot of mistakes with Riley herself and her old emotions. Envious will surely have a lot of fun doing everything she's always wanted, taking everything that belongs to other people. But in the end, everything will work out, and the old emotions will manage to return to the control center of Riley's mind. Guys, this is our theory on how Anxiety and Envious ended up working together as villains in Inside Out 2. Just like Joy was sort of the villain of the first movie too, but then redeemed herself. I'm definitely counting down the days to watch this movie, which will surely be amazing. If you're also eager to watch, to help pass the time while waiting, subscribe to this channel. That way, you'll get our amazing videos, just like these 2 we're leaving for you now. Until next time, and have fun while we wait for Inside Out 2.